Hello everybody, this is Ryan, Captain Team Soulstrike, and I thought for our first video on YouTube, I'm going to do a deck profile. The best deck I could do is my own deck, which is Shadow Paladin Diablo. It's a very good, very consistent, very quick deck, and I hope you enjoy the video. For a starter, I run Full Bow Diablo. Its skill is Forerunner. So if you ride any unit of the same clan on top of it, it gets called to a rearguard circle. And its other skill is when this unit is put into the drop zone from rearguard for the cost of your unit's ability, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in the card name, search your deck for up to one card with Blaster Dark in its card name, and call it to rearguard, then shuffle your deck. Very good starter, using a combo I'll show a little bit later. Next, for grade 3s. The first grade 3 is for Whirlwind of Darkness, Vortimer, Diablo. Bring back one of the old Gold Paladin units, and it's very good. Came back in true glory as a grade 3 instead of a grade 2. Its skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. Generation 2. Choose one of your rearguards and retire it. During the turn when your unit with Diablo, in its original card name Strides, pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for one grade 1 card and call it to rearguard. Then, if it's Dark Dragon Spectral Blaster Diablo is on the Vanguard Circle, you search your deck for up to one grade 1 card, call it to rearguard, and that unit gets plus 3k until the end of turn. Then after you shuffle your deck again. And when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, then you search for a grade 1 card and call it to rearguard, and then shuffle your deck afterwards. Very good. It's one of the better first ride, but there's no bad ride in this deck, honestly. I've never had problem when I didn't ride this or I didn't ride my other grade 3, which is 4 copies of Blaster Dark Diablo. It's the original Diablo. It came out in the Ren Legend deck, and its skills are Continuous Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 2. When you're paying for the cost of Stride, if your Stride has Blaster in the card name, all cards in your hand get plus 3 grades. So that means when you're striding into pretty much most of your G zone right now, everything is a Stride fodder. Doesn't matter what it is, can be used for Stride, just one card, even the trigger. Next skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. During your turn, when Dark Dragon Phantom Blaster Diablo strides on top of it. This is a very specific skill, but it's very useful for that card skill itself. You get to choose one rearguard and retire it. Which, all in all, the effect doesn't sound that amazing, but it's very, very useful because it's not resource intensive, and it gets set up for many other things. So those are my grade 3s, just 8 of them, standard for most decks. Next I run, for grade 2s, 4 copies of Black Chain, Flame Dance Formation, Hoel, another Gold Paladin brought back to Shadows. Its skill is Auto Rearguard, Generous Break 1, and when your other grade 1 unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Diablo in the card name, choose up to one of your Vanguards, and this unit, they both do, get plus 3k, and that ability will also stack, which is very nice because it's an auto skill. And then, if that unit was Black Chain Spirit Dance Formation Kaiden, you get to countercharge 1 and soul charge 1. This deck is actually uses some more soul than normal Shadows tend to, so it's actually really nice to build up soul with this card. Just kind of hope you don't soul charge something you actually need. Next, for grade 2s, I run 4 copies of Dark Saga Painter, the new common grade 2 from G-BT06. Same set as Hoel. Its skill is Generous Break 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Diablo in the card name, draw a card, then choose a card from your hand and discard it. It's a nice way to cycle your hand to make sure you have cards you actually can use, not cards that are just sitting there dead. But its more important skill for this deck is continuous in the deck if you have a Vanguard Diablo in the card names, which is all of your grade 3s and most of your strides. So you should always have one. This unit gets -1 grade, so it counts as a grade 1. It can be called as a grade 1 for either Vortimer's skill and any other skill that calls a grade 1, which is a very useful skill. Next, I run 2 copies of Dark Knight Maiden Maka. It's one of the more used cards in Shadow Paladin, but with this deck, how much it has for calling for cheap or basically free for some things, it's not as necessary anymore in this deck, at least. It's still a great card, still useful in this. There's not a better grade 2 that you would run instead. Its skill is Counterblast 1 when this unit is placed on... let me correct that. Counterblast 1 when this unit attacks a Vanguard. This unit was boosted. You may pay the cost if you do. Search your deck for a grade 1 card and call it, then shuffle your deck. This card is very nice because it counts during the battle phase. So if you're attacking and you already attacked with the other column over here, let's say it's over here, this is over here, you already attacked with this, you call it's boosted, you can counterblast 1, then call like Dark Saga Painter over it, and then swing for another 9k attack. It's not always perfect because they won't hit as many numbers with against Vanguard, but you can use it to pick off Rearguard, which is something you want to do in this deck, honestly, so you can get ready for winning strides. And the last card I use for grade 2s is Blaster Dark Spirit. Its skill is Counterblast 1 when this unit is placed on Rearguard from your deck. You may pay the cost if you do. Choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less Rearguards in the front row and retire it. So it's a call from deck, and you just kill one, which is another useful skill for this deck. And it also is auto Rearguard at the end of the battle. This unit was attacked, retire this unit. So even if you guard an attack at this unit, it will always get retired. It also counts as a gold paladin, but that doesn't matter in this. But the reason we run it is because it can be called off full bow Diablo skill. Along with, if you already draw something, you can call Blaster Dark Diablo. So yes. Next, for grade 1 cards, it's 4 copies of Black Chain Spirit Dance Formation Kaiden. One of the most usable retires other than the next card in the deck. Its skill is auto Generous Rating 1 when this unit is put in the drop zone from Rearguard for the cost of one of your unit's abilities. If you have a Diablo Vanguard in its card name, choose up to one of your Vanguards and that unit gets plus 5k and auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1, call it to Rearguard, then shuffle your deck, and if you have a copy of Black Chain's Flame Dance Formation Hoel, the called unit gets plus 5k. So if you, let's say, nice little thing is, if let's say you retire 2 of these for a skill, and you can give both effects to the Vanguard. So if you hit with it, you can, and you have one of these on the field, you can call a completely new column. Let's say like Dark Saga Painter and another Kaiden. They'd both get 5k, which would mean another 10k column boosted attack, which can push and win games. So it's very, very nice card, and I run 4 of it for it. The next card I run for grade 1s is the best thing to sack off for skills. Pitch Black Sage Sharon. Its first skill is the generic Stride Fodder effect, or if you reveal a grade 3, you can add 1 Blaster Dark grade 3 from hand to hand from deck. Then you discard a card. That's not the very useful effect. The actually useful effect is its last effect is when you're retiring a Rearguard for the cost of your unit's ability. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, the retiring this unit may be regarded as 2 units to retire. So it counts as 2 units. So instead of having to retire 2 Kaiden, you can just retire 1 of him. He doesn't give any boost for it, but it's still a very nice retire instead of having to use a lot of cards, like a trigger or something. Next I run 4 Dark Shield MacLear. This card is the original Shadow Paladin Perfect card from BT04. I would be running the nice Karma Collectors, the unflip ones, but huge price and not really needing the unflip in this deck. And also this helps against Overlords and Dimension Police when they're attacking the rear guards. So very nice, still useful. I think it's not needed to run Karma Collectors in this deck. It's more useful to have this. Next, for the last grade 2 ones I run Dose Drive Fodder, Cherish Not Brandwin. Basically, the first skill doesn't matter because, as you saw, we don't run Claret Sword in the deck. You choose, but its actual important fact is when you're in your hand while you're paying cost for Stride, this gets +2 grade. So if you're not on Blaster Direct Diablo after you've strode once, it's strode twice technically, but in this deck it's strode once, you'll have the GB2. This you can just use this to sack off instead of a grade 3, but grade 3 is a little bit more useful. Discard this deck. So those are all my grade 1s. Next is to triggers. Go 4 copy of Howlal, the Margle clone for Shadow Paladins, act, put in the soul, choose a rear guard, gets 3k. Nothing more really needs to be said. I run 2, 4, 6, 8 crit in this deck. 4 different arts because I didn't want to choose between the arts because I liked them and I had 2 of each. And 8 crit is 8 crit. None of them really have an effect. None of them really need the effects. They're just useful. And lastly, 4 healing Revengers. The Revenger heal trigger and one of my favorite heal triggers in the game. My favorite Shadow Paladin heal trigger for sure though. So you run 4 draw, 8 crit. 8 crit, sorry, my voice is a bit phlegmy right now. And then 4 heal. So that's all for the main deck. Next is Stride deck. First card I run is 1 copy of Supremacy Black Dragon or Geyser Doomed. This is actually your first Stride in the deck. Its skill is Act, counterblast 1, choose a face-down copy of Geyser Dragon, which I only run 1 of because I only did it for the cost of this. Turn it face up, then choose 3 rear guards and retire them. Then reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. For each grade 1 or less card revealed with this card's effect, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Then after you reveal them, you put those 2 cards into your hand, and this is before you even drive check. So it's when you strengthen this, it's a +4 for hand, but you're retiring 3, so it's kind of a filter. This card, then its last part of the ability is if you have 2 of these face up in the G zone, it also gets a crit, but since it's our first Stride and we only run 1 of each right now because of price and also deck space, it's only going to have the first part of the ability. The crit doesn't really happen, which is still fine because it retires and sets up for one of your other Strides, which we'll get into last for Strides. Next is the new Stride. Dark Dragon, Spectral Blaster, Diablo. New Stride, triple rare Stride from G-BT06. Its skill is Act, once per turn, Soul Blast 1, choose any face down card in the G zone, turn it face up, and choose one of your rear guards and retire it. So it doesn't have to be any other card. For some reason, if you want to flip up one of these with it, you could do that. It doesn't have to be another copy itself, but most of the time I tend to use itself for it. It gets the skill, Auto, Vanguard Circle, once per turn, Generation Break 3, choose 2 cards from your hand, from your rear guard, retire them, and until the end of the battle, this unit attack to Vanguard. Pay the cost. If you do, restand this unit, and it loses 2 drive checks. So it goes from triple drive to basically the attack of a grade 1 or a grade 2 unit, which just means 1 drive check, but that's still 4 drive checks for the turn. Not bad. And at the time you pay the cost of the Act skill, you get to call 1 grade 1 from deck. It's not after you use the added effect during the battle phase. It's when you activate the effect. It's a skill I've seen people mess up multiple times, but that's actually how it works. Last for shreds, I run 4 copies of Dark Dragon, Phantom Blaster, Diablo. The best shred in Shadow Paladins. Its skill is act once per turn. Counterblast 1, choose a face down card named Dark Dragon, Phantom Blast, Diablo in your G-Zone. So choose a copy itself, turn it face up. If the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, at the end of turn, this unit gets plus 10k and plus 1 critical. Sorry about sound, family, mood, doing stuff outside. So just, let's continue. It gets the skill Auto Vanguard Circle. Choose 3 rearguards and retire them. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses 2 cards from his or her rearguards and retire them. If 2 cards were not retired, your opponent cannot guard from hand. So, as I was saying, retiring from the rearguard is very useful in this deck, whether it's from when you stride this card over Blaster at Diablo, when you retire from Spirit's effect, or Doom's effect. It's still very helpful, because if you can make sure they only have 1 card in the rearguard circle, you can make sure they're going to be taking at least 2 damage unless they get a heal trigger. So this is one of the best finishers in the game, in my opinion. I don't see that's much better. So that's the list, but let's get into just one little combo to explain why I use Orgasor Doomed instead of just the basic Orgasor Dragon, other than Orgasor Dragon being a significantly higher price point. So let's say straight into that you had, where is it, your starter, Full Bound Diablo in the back. Let me scoot these up. Full Bound Diablo in the back. You superior, let's say you just called Sharon to field, and you have 2 cards in damage. So during your turn, you'd flip. So to start the skill off for this, you would flip a copy of Dragon, G-Zone. You counterblast 1 for its skill to retire 3 units, since you have and this counts as 2 because you have a Blaster as a Vanguard. It counts as retiring 3 for just here. Then Full Bell skill activates. You get to Superior Call Blaster Dark Spirit. Another counterblast to retire a front row grade 2 or less unit. Then let's say you activate its skill, checking top 2 cards of the deck. Let's say you check so first check is a Dark Saga Painter. And here comes where a little bit of another combo works. Is in deck, since technically revealing from top of the deck counts it's still being in the deck, this card still has the -1 grade, so it gets this counts as a retire. So you have another target for this guy's effect. And then a heal trigger, so you get 2 retires from Doomed, 1 retire from Spirit for 2 counterblast, and then retiring 2, so you've got back cards equal to it, and they have a trigger, so you have even higher shield. So, and then you have drive trigger checks, and then no big deal, because your hand just replenishes very well in this deck, and your field replenishes very well also from many effects, such as the Vortimer's, Maka's even, and then just calling itself from hand, just calling anything from hand, it gets boosted by Howell's effect, Titan's effect, for when you retire it, give 5k. There is a lot of different combos you can do with this deck, a lot of stuff you can get done. So I hope you enjoyed my deck profile. Sorry about that. Of my Shadow Paladin Diablo deck. It's one of my favorite decks to play, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and just subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And this is Ryan from Team Soulstrike, signing out.